The possible graphs of a quadratic polynomials are given. Here four graphs. All these are graphs of quadratic polynomial. These graphs are called parabola, and graph of quadratic polynomial is always parabola. Question is, from the graphs, we are to decide the signs of A, B and C. Whether A is positive, negative, B will be positive or negative, and C is positive or negative. How to identify the signs of ABC from the graphs. So, quadratic polynomial, the general quadratic polynomial is your ax²+bx+c. One by one. At first, sign of A, whether A is greater than 0 or less than 0, how to decide it from the graph. For this, students can remember only one technique. See here, this graph is opening downwards towards the negative y-axis. If the graph is opening downwards, A is negative. So in this case, A is less than 0. The sign of A, it can be identified very easily. খুব সহজতে A সাইনটো ডিসাইড কৰিব পাৰিবা। A পজিটিভ হ'ব না নেগেটিভ হ'ব এইটো কেনেকৈ আইডেন্টিফাই কৰিবা? গ্ৰাফটো চোৱা, গ্ৰাফটো opening downwards হৈছে y axis of তললৈ। In this case, the graph is opening upward. That's why A is your positive greater than 0. এতিয়া আমাৰ মনত প্ৰশ্ন আহিব, the question may arise in your mind that if the graph starts from here, then what? Then also A is positive. If the graph starts from here, then also A is always greater than 0. Just you have to remember opening upward or downward in order to identify the sign of A. Next, how to identify that? So in this case it is clear A less than 0. Here it is A greater than 0 because the graph is opening upward. Now come here. In this case, graph is opening upward. So here also A greater than 0. And in this case, easily you can say the graph opening downward, that is towards the negative y-axis. That's why A less than 0. Next, let us decide the sign of C at first, because in order to identify the sign of A and C, these are very easy. Now, what about C? Observe this. This graph cuts the y-axis. Positive y-axis or negative y-axis? Towards the positive y-axis. If the y-intercept, you can say, if it cuts to the positive part of y-axis, যদি y positive part of কাটে c greater than 0. তো ইয়াতে আমাৰ কি হ'ব? c greater than 0. ইয়াতে c কি হ'ব? So graph to y-axis of positive part of কাটিছে. It is in this case also c greater than 0. Now here this graph cuts the y-axis to the negative on the negative part of y-axis. That's why c is less than 0. ইয়াতে চোৱা y-axis of negative y-axis of কাট কৰিছে, গতিকে ইয়াতো তোমাৰ c কি হৈ যাব? less than 0. Then A and C sign can be decided very easily. Now the main part is your how to identify the sign of B. To decide the sign of B, and in order to decide the sign of B, you have to know the formula of vertex of parabola. This graph is a parabola, and this is the formula. This is the vertex, and the vertex is given by minus b by 2a d by 4a. Right now, deduction of vertex not required. Just you have to remember the coordinates of vertex is given by minus b by 2a d by 4a. Now you see, say, let me take this one at first. This vertex lie in what? First quadrant. And you just consider the x coordinate where b is present, because you are going to decide the sign of b. So here x coordinate is minus b by 2a. Minus b by 2a. See here, d by 4a is not required. Just we will consider the x coordinate minus b by 2a. Now, in the first quadrant, x coordinate is positive, y coordinate is also positive. Therefore, minus b by 2a must be positive. You don't think that as minus sign is present, that's why it is negative. It's not like that. Suppose minus x, 80% students says it is negative number. Not, you are not sure. If I give the input as x negative 5, then it becomes positive. And if I give the input as positive 5, then it becomes negative. So unless the value of x is given, so you are not sure whether minus x is positive or negative. Similar case here also. But in this case, it is sure as the vertex lie in first quadrant, that's why this x coordinate must be greater than 0. Now you see, just simple reasoning. Already you have decided a is what? Less than 0. Then here it is minus sign. Denominator is what? Negative. Then minus minus, it becomes positive. Then you are confirmed about it, the b must be positive number. If b is positive, then this value will be greater than 0, because minus minus plus, ultimately the entire result will be a positive number. But if you take the b value as negative number, then 3 negative sign present here, then it will be less than 0. So it is sure. So in that case, b is also greater than 0. Now, say in this case, x coordinate of the vertex minus b by 2a. This is the formula of vertex. Now, the sign of vertex you decide. Vertex lie on x-axis. This is positive x-axis. So this is greater than 0. ইয়াৰ পিছত চাবা a এর সাইন ডিনোমিনেটর কি হৈ আছে, এটা অলরেডি আমার জানা আছে, because a is greater than 0. তাহলে মাইনাস অলরেডি আছে, b by this denominator is positive. Let me write here positive. How you have decided denominator is positive? Because a is positive, 2 is here, twice a is also positive. Now see, it is some negative number is coming, but if you take b value as negative number, then minus minus will be plus. So if I take minus b value is negative, then by positive, then minus minus plus greater than 0 condition is satisfied. So here it is confirmed that b is negative in this case. In this case, b is less than 0. I hope I could make it clear. Next, come here. In this case, your x coordinate of vertex minus b by twice. It is lies in which quadrant? Fourth quadrant. A as in fourth quadrant, sign is what? Positive, negative. X coordinate is what? Positive. So therefore, it is greater than 0. This is greater than 0. It is confirmed. So if this is greater than 0, so what about the sign of twice a, which is already decided? Because a greater than 0 means denominator is positive, minus b by some positive number greater than 0. Then 100% sure b must be negative. b negative hole hai minus minus plus greater than 0 condition satisfy hobo. So yate b value less than 0. Last into side of pariba here. In this case, vertex lie on negative x-axis, minus b by 2a. Therefore, x coordinate must be less than 0. From the graph side vertex what is negative x-axis what is minus it all x coordinate vertex less than 0 হৈ আছে. তো এটা এর সাইন চোৱা a কি হৈ আছে less than 0. তো a less than 0 হলে minus b ইয়াত থাকিব আৰু 2a অলপ নেগেটিভ আহিব. তো মাইনাস মাইনাস প্লাস হৈ আছে. তো ইয়াতে less than 0 আছে, গতিকে b এটো আহি গ'ল তোমাৰ কি must be negative. So b negative number দিলেহে তোমাৰ less than 0 থাকিব. তো ইয়াতে b less than 0.